Hello, everyone. Hello,
Okay, I can see that we're live. While Greg puts us up to the screen there, I would like to ask Mayor Brown to please say a few words to kick off this evening's public information session.
Thank you, Jean. Good evening. I'd like to begin this meeting by acknowledging that we're gathered on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Inklakatma and Syilx people. So welcome, and thank you for joining the City of Merritt's information session on the recovery of the devastating Coldwater River flood. It's our desire at the city to provide our community with as much updated information as is possible as we weave our way through the bureaucracy and the recovery efforts for our citizens. I'll remind everyone that we still have several people that are not in their homes and another countless number of individuals who are in their homes but still dealing with cleanup and repairs to their dwelling. I want to assure you we are working hard to get you into safe homes as soon as we possibly can. And if you know of anyone who is struggling, please refer them to the Resiliency Center. I now turn this meeting back over to Jean Strong, our host and MC for the evening.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. So like Mayor Brown said, I'm Jean Strong. I'm the information officer currently in the Merritt Emergency Operations Center, and I'll also be hosting this evening and guiding us through the speakers. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm joining you tonight from the traditional and unceded territories of the Tecumseh people, and I'm really honored to be able to live here and work here and to explore the area. I'd like to thank all of the speakers who have agreed to share their time with us this evening. We have a variety of people, and these sessions are such important avenues for the Merrittonians who have been affected by the floods to connect with the city, to get information from us, and also to connect with outside resources and those really trusted sources of information. So this evening we'll hear from the recovery team and the City of Merritt staff, as well as representatives from the Better Business Bureau, as well as the Ministry of Transportation and the Infrastructure. So to begin the evening, I'd like to introduce to you Greg Selecky, the recovery manager for the City of Merritt, and I'd also ask the other speakers this evening to please mute themselves and turn off their cameras.
Thanks, Jean. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for attending. Special thanks to our speakers, Mayor and Council, but definitely for the public and for you that are coming to these meetings. If there's one thing that we've learned, and by we, I mean people that are looking at recovery in communities and municipalities such as Grand Forks, High River, Medicine Hat, the after action reports, the learnings from that is that we need to include the community as much as possible. So these public information sessions are going to be so important, not just for the recovery of Merritt in the community, but for you to be able to give us your input as we continue to build back better. So really important that you're here, and we appreciate it, and we appreciate all the questions as well. Our focus and priority continues to be on finding ways to bring people home. There's still approximately 900 people that are spread throughout the interior that we want to make sure we contact, provide any resources that we're able to provide for them, information as well, but also for the rest of the community so that we can provide information on what's occurring, what's happening within the City of Merritt. So I'm not going to take too much time right now, let you know that we do have a team in place that is looking after as much as we possibly can from all of the infrastructure projects, all of the things that need to be fixed around the city, but also always wondering as well what's important to you. Parks that we want to repair, homes that we have to identify that need help, different organizations that you've seen around the city that are providing assistance, providing resources. If you need help, as the mayor already mentioned, make sure to stop by the Resiliency Center or to make the phone call to get a hold of them. And we will definitely do what we can to assist you. So without further ado, I know we've got some great speakers and presentations, and we'll always be looking forward to your questions. Thank you very much. Thanks, Jean.
Thank you, Greg. Next up, I would like to introduce to you Linda Brick. Linda Brick is the City of Merritt Recovery and Community Wellness Manager. She's looking after the Resiliency Center at the moment. And I think this is probably also a good time to note that the Resiliency Center will be the support center as of February 1st, and we'll be moving locations, but I don't want to steal Linda's thunder too much, so I'll leave it with you.
Thank you so much, Jean. As Jean mentioned, my name is Linda Brick, and I'm the Resiliency Center Manager, and I want to thank you all for the opportunity to present this evening on the Merritt Support Center. The Resiliency Center is going to be renamed. We're going to call it the Merritt Support Center going forward. The City of Merritt, in conjunction with the province, they established a Resiliency Center model that provides wraparound services to residents who are affected by the flooding. All the residents in Merritt were affected by the flood in one way or other, and our daily lives were all interrupted. Since then, many people have been fortunate enough to be able to return to their regular routine, but a lot of people haven't. And for anyone who hasn't returned to their regular routine, we are here to help you. We want to invite residents to come in and to talk to us where they are in the moment. The Resiliency Center, what we are doing, or the support center, what we do there is we have a donated cleaning supplies. So you can come in and pick up cleaning supplies. You can come in and speak with a caseworker to help you navigate through this whole process, because it can be really overwhelming to many people. There's so much going on in your lives, and we're here to help. So we have caseworkers that are available to help everyone who needs it navigate the process, make application forms, and to connect you with organizations that are coming in to help people clean up their yards, their basements, remove the debris, and even to help rebuild in some cases. So there's some organizations that are going to be coming online in the near future that'll be able to do this, and we want to connect you to them. If you want to come in, you can also learn about funding grants, because there's many donations that have been made, and there's many fundraisers that are out in the community and in the province as a whole. There's lots of different things that are going on. So we want to make sure that you're able to be connected to those organizations and receive the funds that are being donated on behalf of Merritt. And the Red Cross is also part of the Resiliency Center, and the support's going to be ongoing. There's lots of anxiety out in the community right now about what's going to be happening. The Resiliency Center is going to be staying where we are at the Civic Center until February 1st. So we're going to get through this next period of renewals for everyone where we are, and then we'll be moving over to the rail yard at 1700 Garcia Street. It's Unit 101, so it's right next door to the Cocos that's there. And this move, the Red Cross is going to come with us there. We did have a question that had been submitted about how long are those who are still displaced going to be able to access the Red Cross funds, and will this part be handed over to a different organization or government down the road? I've spoken with the Red Cross, and they've confirmed that they'll be able to continue to provide personalized recovery supports and programming to individuals that are impacted by the floods. This support will not be transitioned to another organization, and they will continue to work closely with us, with the City of Merritt and other organizations in the community to ensure that support is getting to those who need it. So we're really excited about the move. So come and check us out on February 1st at the new location. But before that, we're still over at the Civic Center. And this is going to provide us with an opportunity to, this move is going to provide us with an opportunity to meet the day-to-day needs, because we know that this recovery is going to take a long time. But we're also going to be able to return the Civic Center to the community as a whole to support the community in different ways as well. So in closing, that's about all that I have to say. I'm looking forward to seeing you all at either the Civic Center or after February 1st over at the rail yard. So I'll turn it back to you, Jean.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. It sounds like that new space is just going to be such a wonderful resource for the community.
Yeah, we've been setting it up this week, so it's going to be really exciting over there as well for everyone. Got lots of space for kids as well as for adults.
Nice. Thank you very much. The next speaker I'd like to welcome is Don MacArthur, who is the City of Merritt Director of Planning and Development Services.
Thanks very much, Jean. And I have a bit of a PowerPoint I created, so I'm going to attempt to share my screen here. So I have a few topics to discuss today. Firstly, I want to give an update on the rapid damage assessment placards and evacuation order process. Following that, I have a few updates around permit processing, building permits, demolition permits, etc. I also want to remind the property owners in the flood inundation zone of regulation changes that Council passed in December with regards to permits. And I also have a little conversation here or a discussion around why you should apply for a permit. So I'll get right into it. Firstly, the rapid damage assessment placards, of course, were placed or affixed to buildings in the flood inundation zone in the days following the flood of November 15th. And the process of going about removing those, if you haven't had your placard removed already, will be to speak to a city building official. You can contact us here at the Development Services Department by emailing building@merritt.ca or giving us a call, 250-378-8615. We'll be asking you whether there's been any gas or electrical inundation of floodwaters. If your electrical outlets were inundated, if your gas meter was affected, and if so, you would need to get either an electrician or gas fitter to come and inspect those works and sign off to make sure that they're safe. Once you've done that, you can provide that documentation to the city. And once we have that assurance that your property is safe, your RDA placard would be able to be removed. And we then provide your address to the Recovery Center team, and they're the ones here on the call. Jean, of course, being a member of that team, Greg Selecky, etc. They're sign off to the updated evacuation order lists on a regular basis, and you probably saw the most recent evacuation order published on the city website. With regard to permits, if you're interested in knowing more about permits, you can give us a call here. Building permits generally are needed for insulation. So if you've had to cut your drywall and get rid of moldy insulation, in order to put it back in, and you should be getting a building permit, and we come and inspect it, make sure it's done correctly. If you have any foundation issues, whether it be cracks or other structural issues with your foundation, a building permit would also apply, and any other structural alterations or structural damage to your property. Plumbing permits would be required for any sort of plumbing works, whether it be damaged pipes, replacing of pipes, fixtures as well. Demolition permits are only issued for building removal. So there's some misconception in the community around renovations versus demolition. If you're renovating your property, doing things like tearing out drywall, putting in insulation, that's not demolition. That's renovation. Demolition is the actual tearing down of the house and removing it from the property. So we have had some demolition permits requested, unfortunately, for some of the more severely damaged properties in the flood zone. And of course, we're processing those as quickly as we can. We have created a streamline application process specifically for flood inundation properties, and that's about a one-page application form. You can fill that out electronically and send it back to us by email. You can mail it in, you can drop it off in person. You can also drop by our Development Services Department and fill it out in person here with us. It only takes about 15 minutes, and we have people coming in pretty much all day long to do that. So thank you for everyone who has come in. If you do come into City Hall, please remember to wear your mask. Of course, we're still dealing with the COVID pandemic. To date, we've received 130 applications from property owners in the flood inundation zone. So that's a really great response so far. We know that there are other properties, however, who are property owners who haven't applied, then may need a permit. So if you're in doubt at all of whether you need a permit or not, you can send us an email, give us a call, and we can chat about it and determine whether that's necessary for your property. You may also be wondering about redevelopment opportunities. We've had a number of inquiries about, whether additional development can occur on properties, and the answer is quite often yes. We do have a new zoning bylaw that came in place in the fall of 2020, and that allowed for a number of additional types of development on properties such as laneway homes and secondary suites, etc. So we know that rental units are in high demand right now. So if you have the means, financial means, and you have this space on your property, you may want to look at some of these other forms of development. The R1 zone specifically allows not only single family homes, but duplexes, carriage homes like laneway homes, garden cottages, etc., as well as secondary suites. R2 properties and most of the properties in the flood zone that are residential are R2 zoned. Allow, of course, single family homes, but also duplex, townhouses, carriage homes, and secondary suites as well. So if you have any inquiries or you're wondering about opportunities for development on your property, please give us a call or you can email our planning department as well, planning@merritt.ca. And I mentioned that council had created some regulation changes in December, and that was for a number of different types of permits related to development. These changes are apply to all of the properties within the flood inundation zone and are in effect until the end of next year, 2023. So it gives property owners some time to make decisions on what you want to do with your property. As I mentioned, we've already received 130 applications for renovations, building permits, plumbing permits, demolition permits, etc. Specifically, earthworks permits have the requirement to apply has been eliminated for properties in the flood inundation zone. So you won't have to apply to remove that mud from your property or to bring in new topsoil, etc. During this time. So obviously that's going to be of some help for flood zone properties, obviously. Development permits. Currently in our existing OCP, development permits are required for city center properties. The proposed new OCP would also expand that to all multifamily, commercial, and industrial within the city, including the flood inundation zone. However, council has waived the requirement to apply for R1 or R2 zone properties in the flood inundation zone. And for all other properties in the flood zone, whether that be C6 city center properties or R7 multifamily properties, etc., those properties you would need to apply for a development permit, but the application fee has been waived. So that again will help with development in the flood zone specifically. For technical development permits, these are riparian permits, floodplain, geotechnical, or wildfire development permits. The application fee has been waived, so you would still need to apply, but no application fee if you applied prior to the end of 2023. Building permits, I've talked about it a bit already. Council has waived the requirement to provide a security deposit as well as the permit fees and the inspection fees. So an application is still required, as I mentioned, for various types of works, whether it be insulation, foundation, structural issues, but there would be no fees for the permit or for the inspections, which is, hopefully a huge help for property owners. Similarly, for plumbing permits, we would require an application, but no permit fees and no inspection fees. And that also applies for demolition. If a home needs to be demolished. We would also, once that's finalized, the building has been removed from the property, we come for an inspection to make sure it's been removed. We then contact BC Assessment to let them know that the structure has been removed, so that your property can be assessed accordingly, and you wouldn't be taxed on that structure after it's being removed. So why apply for a permit? Well, there's a couple really good reasons for property owners. One is peace of mind. It's really important that works are done well when you're renovating, and if you apply for a permit, you get free inspection. So the city building official will come out and do an inspection of your home, make sure you've done things correctly, and that gives you hopefully some peace of mind that you're living in a home that's been renovated correctly, whether it be by you or your contractor. But really importantly, for future property sales, in the future, if you decide to sell your property 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road, if there has been a permit taken out and inspections occurred, there would be record of those permits and inspections. So a prospective buyer would be probably more assured of buying your property if there's records of permits and inspections, and they know that it's been done correctly. Without those in place, they may choose to walk away from the deal. So it's really important, to be proactive as a property owner and to make sure that you're doing things correctly and applying for the permits if you need them. So if you want more information, want to chat about whether you need a permit or not, want to talk about your rapid damage assessment placard, about removing that, if you have development inquiries for your property, if you're thinking you might want to add a secondary suite or a carriage home or these sorts of things, feel free to send us an email here at the Development Services Department, or give us a call, 250-378-8615, and we'll be happy to have a conversation with you and see how we can help. So Jean, with that, I can turn it back over to you, and if there's any questions this evening as well, I'm here to answer anything that I possibly can.
Wonderful. Thank you, Don. That's a lot of really great practical information. I can't imagine how busy you and your team are right now. So I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us this evening. Up next, I would like to welcome Christopher Peters, who is the City of Merritt Recovery Team's Community Liaison. It seems that there might be some technical difficulties with Christopher. I can't hear you or see you. Oh, there we go. I was going to see if you needed a minute. There we go. Perfect. Thank you.
Lawete Swale, Christopher Peters, Teltsui. I'm the cultural liaison for the Recovery Operations Center team, and I hail from the Seabird Island Band in the Fraser Valley. And I've been assigned to work with the communities in and around Merritt, specifically the Indigenous communities of the Encampment and Silks. So I've been working with them, getting to introduce them to our team, hoping to engage them with different opportunities that we can work with them together to solve some of the issues that come up. And also working with organizations such as Indigenous Services Canada, the First Nations Emergency Service Society, and the Métis Nation of BC Interior. And really excited to provide my expertise as a Indigenous civil engineer to the team and support each other through this really difficult time for everyone. And of course, I've also got a vested interest here as the children, the 3 children that I have are also from the Merritt communities. So it's really important for me to do this work and to at the end of the day, provide a strong, resilient community in the city of Merritt, as well as with the nation's Haitska.
Thank you, Christopher, for introducing yourself. It's such an important role to fill, and I'm really looking forward to learning from you as you work through the recovery. The next speaker that I'd like to welcome is from the province of BC, the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure, Brad Bushell.
Thanks, Jean. I am I was asked kind of last minute here to do a bit of a presentation for you guys. Sean Clough, unfortunately, couldn't make it today. He's booked on another one there, and he's our Highway 8 reconstruction coordinator down there, and Jen Fraser as well couldn't make it today as well. But I am the operations manager in the Merritt office and with the Ministry of Transportation, and Highway 5 for the most part down to Portia and almost all the way to Kamloops is my area response, as well as the entirety of Highway 8 and the Fraser Canyon down to almost right down to Jackass Mountain there is mine as well. So we've had some pretty big challenges put forward here with this flooding event on November 14th, 15th. And we're making some really good progress though, so that's fantastic. And Sean provided me the PowerPoint presentation, which I'm going to try to share on the screen here. There we go. Can you see that, Jean?
Not just yet, no. I'm not seeing anything pop up.
Okay, 1 second here. I'm not the most technologically savvy person here, so just try that.
No rush.
Try this.
There we go.
And we'll try
Perfect.
that. And we'll do that. There we go.
Got you.
All right. Well, we'll start out with Highway 8, the project update here. It was, I'm not sure if everybody's aware, but there is a public site and there's a newsletter that's going out regarding the updates on this project on a weekly basis, I believe, and they're making some great progress. So Sean's provided me with this. I've had the opportunity to travel the corridor as far as I can, and that just gets me out past Shacken on the way towards Spence's Bridge there, and it's quite a humbling experience to go through the corridor and see what's happened and the power of nature and whatnot there. I've also traveled the Coquihalla in its entirety and in the early days, and then also recently as yesterday, and then up through the Fraser Canyon. So all of these sites are massive, and there's a huge team working on these things behind the scenes. So Highway 8, this is regarding Highway 8 here. There was 23 impacted sites along the highway, mainly erosion sites where there's a complete loss of the highway. And when you add them all up, it adds up to over 7 kilometers of highway that's actually completely wiped out and gone. That's both lanes, the ditches, the shoulders, everything is just, it's gone. So there's those pretty major when you add it all up in there. There's 3 impacted structures there, and they're all close to Spence's Bridge, the Kurnow Bridge, Rattlesnake, and a 3 Mile Bridge. 2 retaining wall structures were lost, and a side road bridge, which is the Canford Bridge, and the one Shacken IR Bridge, Chief Anthony Joe Bridge, is also missing. So if you guys go to our websites, there's various spots you can get the information. You must have seen the pictures on social media and that, but these are all sites here. And if you just look down the middle here on the map, this is Highway 8 going through the middle of the map here. And if you'll see, there's a few sites here along the way. They're just little dots represented by dots. But then when you get to the Shacken area, from there west, they're all concentrated fairly heavily. And that's kind of where the valley gets a little bit more narrow and whatnot. And there wasn't very many places for the river to go. So that's where we're currently working right now. We're out past Site 8. So we're about right here from Merritt being back over here. And we're about right here, Site 8. And we're coming in from this side. And we got past the Kurnow Bridge now, the Rattlesnake Bridge, and now they're working on 3 Mile Bridge. And then they're just going to start hitting all the sites along the way there, as they can leapfrog to them from both directions. And super important to remember that right now, our primary goal, and it's been that way since the start of this event, was to try to get residents and property owners and band members back to their respective properties in as quick a fashion as we can. It's been a real challenge out here because you're terrain trapped with steep mountains and not very many alternative access points. So Highway 8 has definitely been and will continue to be the most challenging one for the 3 highways that were heavily impacted for sure. I just mentioned there, we're in phase 1 right now. We're trying to achieve all ground emergency and construction access to all the sites. So that's where we are right now. And we've pushed through, like I say, in a lot of those areas where we've established 2 lanes basically of traffic all the way out to Shacken. But as we punch through these washout sites there, we sort of established rudimentary access and then build it up from there, and then on to the next one, and then on to the next one. We keep pushing forward, so we can try to get those people some sort of access there. And currently, it's on a pass system there out past Naquala there, where you need to be a resident out there and have a pass to be able to get in and out, because there's still some properties that are evacuated and whatnot. So it's a bit of a temporary situation right now, but we're still in sort of emergency response to get out to some of those sites out there. On phase 2, once we have all of that stuff done and Highway 8's open to public traffic, we'll continue doing works there to bring it back up to what it looked like prior to the events. In some cases, the highway may not be in the same location at all. We've lost huge areas there, and as well as a bunch of private properties as well. It's quite a feat out there to see what's going on, but it may look different when it's done, but it will get done. And then phase 3 will include completing all the slope stabilizations and along 8 there. While we're going, we're building from the bottom up, so we're heavily rocking and building the bases really strong, including some river retraining and whatnot. And then the toppings are coming on there, so it'll be a while yet, but we're still working towards getting that access punched through there on a daily basis. I mentioned temporary access all the way through to Shacken Reserve basically now. On the right here, site 1, this is just by the Naquala campsite there on Highway 8 there. It's dropped in elevation a bit, but it's opened up, it's wide and stuff like that, so we can get through there, and we'll build it up over time. But right now it's really good access through all the way to Shacken. Hydro and TELUS, they're connecting services through there as well at the time, currently, and we're working towards getting, like I say, connecting that western side by the bridges at Spence's Bridge over to back towards Shacken there. If you look here on the right, this is just an example here, just past site 8 there. We're coming into some really challenging ground here. The river's come right in and taken this whole section here right into the rock of the mountain out, and our highway's missing there completely. So it's about a 10-meter, 30-foot high wall straight up there, but we've lost the full width of the highway. Here's the highway here where it used to be. I used to drive right through here and around, so it's quite a big endeavor that we're going through there. And the river, the bed load in the river has come up quite high. You know, we're not able to just go in there and do things. We still have to work through environmental processes and whatnot as well. So all those things are all happening all at the same time. There is this newsletter that's available. It's a bi-weekly one. I apologize. I mentioned weekly before, but it's bi-weekly, and it can be found at this address here. I can provide that later, Jen, Jean, if you need it, and it can be distributed out to a wider group there if people would like to get that. Along Highway 8 and out towards the Coquihalla as well, there were a number of side roads that were impacted with the flooding too, which included 11 sites, four of which were bridge structures. Basically, where we're at right now is all of those accesses were reestablished quite some time ago now, except for the Canford Bridge. And that's the one that goes off Petty Creek there and goes and accesses the Noach reserve lands there in Band area. That bridge is being, it needed some extensive repairs. We had to redo piles and abutments and whatnot. And they're currently working through that. I was told today that they've got the structures are all being delivered there and should be passable in the next 2 weeks here. So, But residences are basically accessing people are accessing their residences around through the Spice Creek Forestry Road on the backside there, and then they're using the Spice Creek Bridge, and they're coming in the back way there. So they do have access. Well, it's not ideal, but they do still have access out there. So at this point, everybody that we know of off of a public road has got their access back on some level or another. So the schedule for all these works here is it's gonna go on for quite some time. But like I mentioned, most of the repairs on the side roads have been done to pre-flood access levels, or at least limited impact access. So there's a few that are not quite the way they were, and we may have to do some paving in the spring here and whatnot, and some graveling and some surfacing and things like that, ditching and whatnot. But got to remember, it's not the correct time of year to be doing construction either. It's we're in a bad time of year to be doing construction, so we're doing as many permanent repairs as we can at this point, and then we're going to have to go back and redress a lot of these sites over the summer here. But luckily, we've got them to a point where it's very good. Where possible, we've been able to coordinate works with other agencies, Flynn Road, and other agencies as well, and we're working with the various environmental ministries as well to make sure that we're following best practices and whatnot. I know there's a lot of involvement from the local bands, and there's a number of ARC monitors and band members out there working in conjunction with us to get these sites back up and running. Highway 5 was everybody's seen the news, I'm sure. It 26 impacted sites down to Hope. It was the level of destruction out there was really shocking when we went out to look at it there in the days following the floods. The erosion sites there were on scales that no one had ever really seen before. These are the Bottletop Bridge site, for example. This is just one of the many. But when you go on the other side where you see the bridge there in the middle of the slide collapsed into the river, it goes back there a couple hundred meters still, and it was 30, 40, 50 feet high down to the river. And that's all that material is just gone. So it was really, really shocking to see it. But it is all flowing now. The Murray Flat sites here, these have been repaired. Again, the subgrading and the river retraining has all been done. We did pave. They've been paved, so they're hard surface, so we could do some winter maintenance on them over the winter here and get it open to some level of traffic. But again, these sites will all have to be revisited. This whole project on Highway 5 was it's a massive project that was done and managed, and it was done to a temporary. It's called temporary access, but everywhere we could get good solid bases done and as much permanent work done and prep work to do the permanent work done. We did that in preparation here. We were very, very fortunate to have a number of weeks there where the weather just seemed to hold off for us to get this done. And then basically as we were finishing up trying to get some paving done, the weather came in. It snowed 50 centimeters on us overnight. So. And then it came in pretty heavy after that, but we managed to get some paving done, and it's drivable, and it's not too bad, actually. I drove it, like I say, yesterday, and it takes about 15 minutes longer to get to Hope than it did before, so it's quite good. And as we move forward, it crosses over in a few spots, so we'll be able to do the permanent repairs on the closed down lanes right now over the summer under bigger projects, and then we'll switch traffic onto those, and then we'll fix the temporary spots that we did. So we should have some impacts to traffic, but it should be fairly seamless. We have basically from the Kingsvale interchange where Coldwater Road meets the Highway 5 down on the way to Brookmere. From there all the way to Merritt, it's ops normal. There was no impacts to the road at all in that section at all. And then as you go up over Larson Hill, that's where we started to get the impacts at the south end of Larson Hill and all the way down through. There was a number of spots there, but we've only got, they're short sections. We got a 2-lane section here where it's just two-way traffic for 5 kilometers, then another one down by Hope there for 10 kilometers. Like I say, it adds about 15, 20 minutes to your travel time down to Hope from Merritt currently. I just went over this stuff here, I guess. BC Hydro's been up there, and they reestablished through the corridor. That was part of the, all this stuff was happening at the same time, and why we were able to get the Coquihalla going so fast. It seemed like an impossible feat, but Trans Mountain Pipeline has been active in the corridor there, and they have equipment all the way across the corridor there. So what happened was we had to make a deal with the construction company Peter Kiewit, and they moved all of their equipment onto the highway from the right-of-ways they were working on, and all of our sites were being worked on simultaneously on the Coquihalla. So while you could only drive up to Bottletop site, there's helicopters ferrying in workers and flying in fuel and all that stuff. These machines that were scattered all the way down through to Hope. And they were also working up from the Hope site as well, doing the same thing. So we were able to move a lot of earth and change a lot of things out there very fast. Again, we're going to carry on doing what we can through the winter to make it passable and drivable and operational. And then following the freshet in the spring here, we'll be carrying on with some more permanent type repairs, and a lot of contracts and tenders will be going out to accommodate that in the spring. But like I say, we have a large team that's working towards getting this done right now. Yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you, Brad.
I can provide a little bit, I guess, on the Trans-Canada because it opened, but it's not really. It's kind of awkward for Merrittonians to get to the Trans-Canada because you kind of have to go up 97C or the Coquihalla to 97D at Logan Lake and then cut over and then come down to Ashcroft and then go south down there. But it is passable now. There's extensive delays through that corridor because of the nature of the narrow passages by the bridges that were knocked out. Again, all those repairs that are being done down there, while they're super expensive, they are being done on a temporary nature to provide us some access through there right now. There's so many people that were stranded between the washouts and whatnot through the canyon there that it was imperative that we get that set up in time. And now that it's in place, it's kind of functioning half decent. It does take quite a while to get through there, but it can be an option for you should the Coquihalla be not your cup of tea. But other than that, yeah, I can answer any questions that come up.
Wonderful, thank you. That is it's hard to wrap your head around the scale of everything that happened, and also like what a feat it's been for your crews to be able to get what they've completed done already, and thinking about all the work ahead. It's really just incredible. I know we're all very grateful and proud of the work that you've done. It really speaks to the work ethic of all of your crews and all of your teams. Up next, I would like to welcome Simone Liss from the Better Business Bureau. And then after Simone's finished her presentation, we will answer questions from members of the public.
Great. Hopefully you can see me. I have a little bit of a presentation as well. So I'm just going to pull that up. Let's try that again. Pardon me. I guess the question that I should ask is if you can see my presentation. Let's try that again.
I could see it, and then you took it away.
Oh,
there we go.
I was going to say technology is not a gift of mine as well. But hopefully you can see a slide that basically just says flood recovery tips in City of Merritt.
I think you X'd out of it. If you just put it on one more time.
One more time? Okay, let's try this. How about that?
Perfect. Yeah, that looks great. Thank you.
Wonderful. Sorry about that. Teams is not really my area of expertise, but I'm really, really pleased to be here to be able to talk about some of the ways that the BEB can be a resource for the City of Merritt as you guys are rebuilding. A little bit about us. I mean, the Better Business Bureau is a not-for-profit organization. Really, it is our vision that we can help connect consumers with businesses that they can trust in an ethical marketplace. And so some of the ways that we do that is we are supported by over 44,000 accredited businesses who meet standards and believe in what we're doing, which results locally in about 2.4 million instances of services to consumers in our market. Our brand is over 100 years old, and my specific office deals with businesses and consumers across the BC and Yukon territory. Some of the services that we can offer in this time and any time really is that we provide information on businesses. We call that a business profile. So you can come to us and find out some track record about any business that you're thinking of dealing with. It includes a rating, whether or not they're accredited or not, and then some customer feedback. We accredit businesses who have to meet standards to be a part of our organization and continue to meet those standards. So that you know that if you see the BBB accreditation seal, they're a business that's being vetted by us. We offer a service that you can come to our website and get a quote from accredited businesses. So that might help you save time if you don't have a business in mind. And then we offer 2 different services for consumers to sort of share feedback. If you, for example, just want to, talk about a good experience or a negative experience that you've had with a business, we have a customer review process. Or if you're looking for customer support and you want a resolution from a business, we have a dispute resolution mechanism, and that's called our complaint process. And then the other thing that we're out in the market doing quite a bit of is education. We really feel that consumers who are armed with information can make better choices, which is ultimately going to help drive that ethical marketplace. And we also want to make sure that when you are investing or putting your dollars into a business, that you're making the best choice for you. And so that kind of leads us to today's conversation, which is really about providing you with some tips and some things to keep an eye out as you are looking for businesses to help you rebuild. So the first thing we really want to draw out is really that, unfortunately, when there is some sort of a disaster, we often see companies called storm chasers, which are contractors who might come into a disaster zone and then potentially offer you what seems to be a good deal. The only catch is that you have to hire them right away. And the unfortunate part of that is they might overcharge you. They may not do the work that they promised to do, and they may disappear. So really what we want to do is we want to teach you on how to be cognizant of what to look for in a good business. We want to make sure that if someone does come to your door and is soliciting to you, that you really take the time to, if anything, collect information, vet the business like you would any other business, and then potentially revisit them down the road if you think they're good for you. Resist the urge to provide some sort of cash deposit in advance. And whatever you do, don't sign over any sort of insurance check to that contractor without getting an opportunity to properly vet them and make sure that they have that they're going to be there for you tomorrow. So what can you do to make sure that you're hiring the right business for you? Well, if you, as I said, if you don't have a business in mind, you can come to bbb.org. You can find companies there and you can read the information that we issue, and that will give you some history. It will tell you how long they've been around, or you can get a quote from a business that is accredited. If you've got some businesses in mind, you can also come here and still find information on whether or not the business is accredited, and again, what kind of complaint history they might have had or review history. Once you've got maybe a few businesses in mind, then what we would suggest is get some references, talk to the customer who has used that business and find out how they were for them. If possible, even drive by and see what kind of work they did. And then find out if something did go wrong, how that business handled it in their situation. In order to avoid feeling like you might be gouged or that someone might be overbilling you, especially in this time where it might be harder to find a contractor, it's really important to get more than one bid. We would recommend you get 3 estimates and just really make sure that those estimates are comparing the same things. You don't want to just necessarily go with the lowest bid. The lowest bid might be missing something really important and really focused on getting your business. The highest bid might be including something like experience that is really important to you. So when you are comparing those bids, make sure you are comparing apples to apples and oranges to oranges. Look at things like warranties and really make sure that this is going to be the right business for you. Some industries require licensing. And so if, for example, if we're talking about an electrical contractor, you're going to want to make sure that they have the appropriate electrical licensing. And then last but not least, you don't want to pay in cash, and you never want to pay in full. What you want to do is make sure that you're paying in a way that should you need to contact that business, you've got some sort of record and proof of your interaction. With your written agreement, make sure that your agreement includes all the important details that you have discussed with this contract, including their contact information, their name, when they're going to start and end the project, your schedule for paying them. Really, really important that if there is something critical to you that you have talked about, that you make sure that that is put into the contract. Often, those are the situations that result in complaints to the BBB when something is overlooked by the business. And you really do want to understand that if something changes in the scope of work, which often happens in this type of interaction, that you understand what that how that will impact your contract. And so knowing that information and putting into your contract is important as well. And I mean, we had a great presentation about how what kind of permits may be needed. I think it's really important to find out whose responsibility it is to get those permits and make sure you've got that written into your contract as well. And then the only other really thing that I would make sure is in my contract is really making sure to outline sort of any sort of warranties that are being offered. Warranties can cover a range and scope of different things. It can be a warranty on the product. It can be a warranty on the labor. And it may be a third-party warranty. So if you are offered a warranty, you're going to want to take a look at it. You're going to want to read it. And so you're going to want to have that in writing and understand really what your coverage is in case something does go wrong. As we think about our future, the only other kind of really good tip that I think I would offer is that because there's an opportunity for renovation, you might just want to ask what other additional features that they might be able to offer you in case something happens in the future. And that might help protect your home against future damages, especially in the scope of water or maybe even fire damage. So from a BBB standpoint, we have additional tips available on our resource page. It's at bbb.org, all natural disasters /flood. But please reach out to us. You can contact us at mbc.bbb.org. We have a toll-free number. If you are hearing about something that sounds suspicious, we've also got something called Scam Tracker, which you can report it to. And that's really great because it helps other people from being a victim of a scam once it's identified. But for more information, please contact us. Please reach out at bbb.org. All natural disaster.
Thank you, Simone. That's really wonderful information. And it's so nice to have that organization that's looking out for the residents of Merritt and making sure that they're connecting with ethical businesses and that we can move forward without people experiencing further hardship. So thank you for your time. Now I have two questions that have been submitted by members of the public. We had a third about Red Cross supports, which Linda addressed during her presentation. So I think I'd like to perhaps address these to Greg to begin with, and then if anyone has any further information to add, I'll have them jump in. So the first question, and I'll paraphrase here, but for those with homes who are closer to the river, if they're salvageable and they can be repaired, will they be able to stay where they are, or will those homes be moved elsewhere?
I'd almost take that in a two-part, I think, or further. If your home is salvageable, then I would say work towards that and making it livable for you as far as that space goes. And it's incredible to think that people have to go through this. So I can't imagine how they feel. So that's also a portion that I'd like to get out there. It's a tough decision and it's tough to have to deal with. The other portion of that, or part of that question about the floodplain, is we still don't have the exact information for residents, and we know we're going to be able to get that to you at some point in time, but we want to clearly define what is the floodplain, what is the new floodplain, what does that look like? And when we have that information, we'll share it. That's why we're having these information sessions, because we know it's best to share everything that we know with the community as well. So 2 parts to that I wanted to definitely touch on.
Thank you, Greg. The second question is similar, so it might be another one that's maybe best addressed in the next information session. But how far away from the river are they expected to build the dikes, and how far are rebuilds expected to be close to the river, the distance?
Yeah, that's pretty much along the same lines as the previous question. We're still working with groups from the province, looking at engineering firms, contractors to get us that information. And as soon as we have it, we'll be able to share it. And the floodplain will determine where the dikes will go. It will determine if it's going to be a second set of dikes and what those setbacks might be, meaning how far away from the river's edge would those dikes be. And then that will also help determine where some of the homes remain, and even where the parks may go to. Some of the pathways may change. And that all will depend upon the information and the data that we get from the province, from consultants that we have in place, from engineers. And as soon as we get that, we want to share that information with the public.
Thank you. Ben, I didn't see any additional questions that you were putting in the chat there, so I think that's probably it for questions for members of the public for this evening. I think I would like to take this opportunity and be inspired by Greg there a little bit to plug some of the communication channels that we have going and encourage all residents to stay connected with the City of Merritt and the recovery team. We have the flood information line, we have email addresses set up, we have a community bulletin being published and printed regularly, in addition to working with the media, and a new website coming as well with a number of resources and supports. So we're working hard to get that information out and hopeful that people will connect with us and ask us questions where there's gaps or things that we can better address for them. With that, I would like to hand it back over to Mayor Linda Brown to end the evening.
Thank you, Jean. And thank everyone who joined us tonight, and including the speakers who participated. I think you provided invaluable information to us. And having heard Greg Selecky talk about needing a future meeting, I think we're all aware that we will have a future meeting and we will provide you the information as we get it. But just know that we're working hard to ensure that we have adequate supports for all our affected residents, hopefully for as long as they possibly need it. We're also working with numerous departments at the federal and provincial level and agencies of the government to ensure we have adequate funding to cover our infrastructure needs, our diking and some of those other plans that we were talking about. And that this burden, we're hoping, will not fall to the taxpayer. For that so-called 20% that the private citizen for DFA funding needs, we're not sure what we're doing with that at this point. But I also want to point out that there are many donations made to the Merritt Rotary, and there's a big fundraiser coming up on March 13th called Hell or High Water. That is, proceeds will be going to the flood affected people, and they will help as much as they can with this 20%. So these sessions are live streamed to the Merritt YouTube channel and to our Merritt.ca website. And if you know of anyone who can benefit from this information, please pass this video on to them. So thank you. Good night. Be kind and stay safe.